Hello and welcome to our first Pauper video on the channel. I'm Jason from StrataGames, and I've been playing a ton of Pauper recently. Decided to start putting some videos up on the channel. Today I'm going to be playing a brew that I've been working on for a couple of months that I've really been enjoying. It is Dimir Goon Scam. It is built around Girder Goons, one of my favorite cards that I've been wanting to build a deck around for a long time. Feels like it does a lot of powerful things, you just need the right shell for it. So our goal is going to be to blitz Girder Goons, so that's 4 mana to make a 4/4, get into attack with it, and then it dies at the end step. We make a 2/2 and we draw a card. Now we combine that with our scam pieces like Undying Evil to bring it back after dying as another 5/5 body that will then die again, giving us a 2/2 later. So it's just a lot of value. Undying Evil I've found is the best version of this card, this style of card where it reanimates our creature that's about to die, for one simple reason, and that's because this is the only 1 mana card that brings the creature back untapped, which is really key when we're trying to attack in against Kuldotha or Affinity, any of those aggressive decks where we are then going to want a blocker because maybe we aren't as aggressive as they are. It's very key for that. Now, Undying Evils don't stack. You can't give Undying to a creature that's already had a +1/+1 counter on it, which is why we're only running 2 Undying Evils, and we do in fact have 1 Not Dead After All, which brings the creature back tapped. But still, we don't want to run into the fact where we can't use it, where we can't use one of these cards over and over on our creature, because if our Girder Goons dies with Undying Evil, comes back with a +1/+1 counter, we can then cast Not Dead After All on it. It'll come back with a Wicked roll. If we then have another Undying Evil, we can cast that on it, bring it back again when it dies, etc. So 2 Undying Evil, 1 Not Dead After All, and 1 Return to Action, which is 2 mana, a little more expensive, but it gains lifelink. This is really key against Kuldotha and again, those aggressive matchups, because life gain is really important so that we don't die to just getting bolted out or anything like that. Along those lines, we also have Reckoner's Bargain to gain just a little bit of life. Since our creatures are already going to be dying, we don't mind sacrificing them. And a blitzed Girder Goons sacked to a Reckoner's Bargain is going to gain us 5 life, which is a nice chunk of life. The other creature that we are scamming is Mulldrifter, a little bit more common, but still super powerful. We can evoke it, cast an Undying Evil on it, draw 2 cards, it dies, comes back, draw 2 more cards, and then we have a 3/3 flying threat to start beating our opponent with. So, tons of value there. We also have 1 copy of Mournwalk, which is kind of Mulldrifter's weird cousin. It actually mind rots your opponent, and then if we can Undying this, it'll make them discard another 2 cards. Now, it's pretty expensive. It's 5 mana total for the Undying Evil combo with it, which is exactly what we were doing with Girder Goons as far as mana cost. But stripping 4 cards from your opponent out of nowhere can be backbreaking. If they just tap out on turn 4, if we're on the play, we can get them with this. Just take every last card in their hand, and then it's almost impossible for them to come back, and we have a 4/4 Mournwalk to attack them with. Finally, for our really interesting cards, we have Wretched Griff. We ideally, with this, want to blitz in our Girder Goons, attack with it, and then we can emerge Wretched Griff from it, getting a really cheap 3/4 flyer that draws us a card, we'll draw a card for the blitzed Goons, and we will make that tapped 2/2. If we happen to have the dream, we blitz our Girder Goons, attack with it, deal 4 damage, cast an Undying Evil, and then we emerge with the Wretched Griff, getting absolutely tons of value, and it's very hard for our opponent to claw back from there. We also play a Stormbound Geist main deck. This is another card that doesn't synergize with Undying Evil, but does synergize with our Not Dead After All. It dies once, comes back, and then if somebody tries to kill it with a bolt or anything like that, we can Not Dead After All to bring it back without a +1/+1 counter, and we can get 4 bodies out of this 1 creature. It also blocks Ornithopters, Fairies, Core Skyfishers really well, so it's pretty decent in the meta, I think, even though it's not usually standard for a deck to run it in the main board. We have a pretty standard removal package, a couple Snuff Out, a couple Cast Down, 1 Echoing Decay, 1 Agony Warp. We also have a Lash of Malice. This was originally a Disfigure, but we're a pretty aggressive deck with some high power, high toughness creatures, so it's not impossible for us to want to cast this on our own Girder Goons that's attacking, just to hit for 2 more points of damage. Or I cast it one time on my Goons who I had returned to action to gain 2 more life from the lifelink against Kuldotha. That can be super key. So usually it's going to operate as a Disfigure, killing off an X2 of your opponents, though you do have to be wary if it's like an Augur of Bolas they have, that you're going to not kill it and also pump their power a little bit. We run 2 Shambling Ghast as well. This is a bit of a weird one, but we are a slow deck. Turn 5 is really where we come online with our Girder Goons Undying Evil combo. And Shambling Ghast is really good against Kuldotha because it can pick off 2 goblins for just 1 body, or it can ramp us to get to that 5 mana a little bit sooner. Shambligast is surprisingly annoying for Kuldotha. I have played it and held back 3, maybe 4 creatures because our opponent just doesn't want us to get the value off of it, killing 2 of their creatures for just 1 mana. And if we need to, in a pinch, we can even cast an Undying Evil on it so that we'll get that -1/-1 to their creature, and it comes back as a 2/2, which is then another blocker that's going to trade with a Tomb Raider and kill off a Voldaren Epicure or anything like that. So they can be quite the pain, though we usually side them out if we're not against a creature deck that has a lot of creatures on the ground. We also run Augurs of Bolas because they're very powerful, very good. We run Brainstorms with them, which works great. Preordains to round out our cantrip package. We have some counter spells. We have, of course, 4 Lorien Revealeds for island cycling or just drawing 3, which is great as well. And then we have some lands. So we have Bojuka Bog. We are kind of a control / mid-range deck. We're definitely a lot slower than the aggressive decks, but we also want to be the beatdown against any sort of Dimir, Terror, Izzet, control, Jeska Ephemera, anything like that. So we want some tap lands, but not too many. Bojuka Bog is obviously nice against Dredge or Terror decks. 2 Contaminated Aquifers to grab with our Lorien Revealed. I originally was running 4, but I switched 2 of them out for Dismal Backwater to gain a little bit more life against those Kuldotha matchups. And even though we do have snuff outs where we desperately do need a swamp for them, we run 4 swamps, 3 Obscure Storefronts, 2 Contaminated Aquifers, and 4 Lorien Revealeds. 13 swamp sources total. I've never had a problem getting a swamp. So I just found that having a couple Dismal Backwaters is nice for a little bit of life. We're never going to have 2 Contaminated Aquifers on the field and be like, oh, I really need a 3rd black source to cycle off of my Lorien Revealed. It just doesn't happen. So 2 Dismal Backwater, a Dimir Aqueduct just to stretch our land base a little bit further, get more value out of it. And if we need, pick up a Bojuka Bog for more value. 4 islands, 4 swamps as said. I have 1 seat of the Synod. Artifact lands can be a liability. It's not a liability in this deck because nobody is citing an artifact hate against us because we don't have any other artifacts. The only exception to this would be Dredge, always sides in their artifact hate, and we're going to be pulling in Relics of Progenitus, so this could get picked off by that. That's pretty much the only case where this is a liability, and it is here just for the Reckoner's Bargain, just in case we want to sacrifice a land to draw 2 cards instead of a creature. I've found that it's more helpful to have it and sack to the Reckoner's Bargain than to not have it. Even if, yes, it's a liability in maybe those corner case matchups like Dredge. And that's pretty much the deck. Our sideboard is pretty standard. 3 Annuls for your Bogles or Affinity matchups. 3 Elemental Blasts for your Kuldotha or pretty much any red matchup. 2 more Stormbound Geist. These are for any flying matchups, such as Dimir Fairies, but also for any deck that just runs tons and tons of removal, like Golgari Gardens. We're already really well set up against that deck, because all of our creatures pretty much are expendable. They don't want to use a removal spell on our Blitzed Girder Goons, or our Augur of Bolas that we could have an Undying Evil for, or our Evoked Moldrifter, or anything like that. But these Geists are just basically impossible for Gardens to deal with. We have a very good record against them. Duresses for the control matchups, Extract a Confession for your Glitters or Guardian of the Guild Pact, anything like that, or Terror, of course. Arms of Hadar for Kuldotha, Affinity, Boros, anything like that. Relic of Progenitus for Dredge, Terror, and any graveyard decks. So that is pretty much the deck. I've been tuning it a little bit. I have a second version going that I'm going to probably make some videos on as well, just trying to fine tune it. But this is the first version that I had that actually started to do pretty decently, so I wanted to give it a try. So let's go ahead and jump into a league now. All right, first matchup here against Willis Berto. We have an okay hand, only 2 lands, but we have an Augur of Bolas. These allow us to cast our counterspell. We can cast everything in our hand, so I think we're going to keep it, even though we do definitely want a couple more lands. Opponent on a Mold of 5. That could mean either bad luck or something like Dredge. Looks like every single time I see a Mountain into Voldaren Epicure, I'm like, okay, we're against Kuldotha. And then it usually ends up being Rakdos Rakdos Madness. So not 100% sure which one of those it's going to be. We're going to start on our tap land, leave the fetch land in case we draw a Brainstorm or anything like that. A Kessig Flame Breather. Okay, so it's not Rakdos Burn, I don't think. I don't think it's Kuldotha either. It looks like actual burn with the Flame Breather. Drew an untapped land. I think I probably just want to get the Augur down. We want to find a kill spell for this Kessig Flame Breather, plus it blocks the Voldaren Epicure for a turn. In fact, it blocks both creatures. So definitely want to get that, and I think we'll take the cast down to kill Flame Breather. Brainstorm obviously would be good here with the storefront, but we need to stem the bleeding as soon as possible. They are on a mold of 5, so that is going to help us a lot. But they have this Fiery Temper on the Augur. Caustic Flame Breather pinks for damage and attack for 2. So it could be Rakdos Madness still, with just some Flame Breathers, or it could just be mono red burn. We are going to just kill this Flame Breather before it deals us any more damage. Play a tap land. I don't think the Pachuca Bog's going to be relevant this game. Play another Epicure. That's good. We can pick both of those off with the Echoing Decay. And a Chain Lightning to the Dome, down to 11. Swing down to 10. Unfortunately, we don't have 2 Simian Spirit Guides to pitch to get the Bolt Reflection. I think we swamp so that we can Echoing Decay and Counterspell. If we're lucky, they play another Voldar and Epicure here. But after the fact, it isn't going to be as relevant. We will kill them, try to stave off the damage. They Chain Lightning us. I think we take it. I'm more worried about other things, I guess, but if they throw another one, we'll counter that. We got a Goons. The problem is we kind of just need to keep up our reactive spells, because if they bolt us on the end step into, whatever on their untap, we kind of just die. They're going to pass. Lorien Revealed. I think we got to cycle that for a land. That makes it so that if we get one more land, we can guard our Goons, Undying Evil, and still hold up Counterspell. And I don't think we're ever tapping out to cast this Lorien Revealed. As nice as it would be to draw 3 cards, we simply can't afford to. We would probably just die in response or on their turn. They are just passing again, which means they're probably sandbagging lands. We can cast Girder Goons, blitzed, and still hold up Counterspell. We can't Undying Evil it with the Counterspell. I think if we tap out of Counterspell, we're going to die. So I don't think we can afford to do that. So do I want to just get some action going? I think we want to wait another turn. It's hard because you want to be patient, but also you don't want to be too patient, because then your opponent could just draw way more stuff. We are definitely counterspelling that. Or rather, I probably should have just cast it down, but I didn't want them to go Mountain and then Bolt. Maybe that was a mistake, seeing as the counterspell can eat a Bolt and the cast down cannot. I was a little hasty on that. I should have cast it down. Faithless Looting, that's a tough one. If they get a Fiery Temper off of it, we might want to counter that. But they're also digging for something. I think we're going to counter that. Try to stall as long as we can. This does mean that we're down all of our counterspells. The good news of that is we have nothing to really lose from going for this. The bad news is we could just die. Seems like they don't have a lot of action, but it's possible that they've just been appropriately sandbagging so that we will die when we tap out. We're not quite tapping out, but we're getting pretty close there. The good news is if they don't have a lot going on here, we have a pretty fast clock, 7 damage. Discard and end the festivities to their blood. That leads me to believe they don't have a lot going on, actually. Because for us to die here, they would have to go Mountain, Double Bolt, Fire Blast, something like that. They just have a Firebolt. Okay, that's fine. Does slow our clock down. Secure a Storefront. That's a life plus lets us use our Brainstorm. I don't think the Snuff Out is going to be relevant. Get rid of this Brainstorm because we have a Preordain. Gain a life off the Obscura. Grab another island. We're going to Preordain. Return to Action and Mournwelk. As much as I like Mournwelk, I don't think we're using it this turn. Or this game, rather. We do have the Undying Evil, so we could have actually gone for it next turn, but I kind of just want to return to action to gain a bunch of life here. Return to action. Question is, do we want to cast down? Kills it. All that does is give us it comes back without a counter, and it gives us a rogue. So that doesn't seem that great. We could Lash a Malice just to gain 2 more life. I don't hate that. We still have 2 removal spells for whatever they cast, so our main concern is just getting burned out. So let's do that. We still get to hold up Undying Evil if they throw a bunch of removal spells for our Goons. Another Faithless Looting. And they concede. Alright, looks like mono red burn. We're going to bring in all the blue elemental blasts. Arms of Hadar is good against Kuldotha, but all the creatures we saw were the Epicures and the Kessig Flame Breathers, so those don't feel like they're going to be that relevant. Extracted Confession could be good just to, if they have just a Flame Breather, we can pick it off. What don't we want? We don't want Snuff Outs, because we don't want to pay the life. We don't want Stormbound Geist, because it doesn't look like it blocks anything. Sorry, my cat's being very loud. Stop. Mournwalk's not great in this matchup, just because they usually are going to dump their hand, and it's slow. Usually I like the Shambling Ghast against red. It doesn't feel amazing here. Definitely want to keep the life gain. Do I think a Duress taking a Bolt is going to be better than a Shambling Ghast? We only saw a few creatures, but they probably are running Tomb Raiders. I think we'll just keep them and run it like that. 2 land, 3 with the Lorien, Preordain, Blue Elemental, Counterspell. I don't think we can ship this. We always want an Augur. Every game that I ever play, I'm like, this hand would be better with an Augur of Bolas. They bolt us right off the bat. Could hold a Blue Elemental. I think we'll just try to find something else here. Dying Evil is good for our goons. Lorien Revealed finds us another land. Do you just want to hit our land drops? Sure, why not? We're in no rush. I mean, with both Loriens, we're at 4 lands. So that's only 1 more that we need for the goons combo. Rakdos Carnarium. Okay, so it looks like they are Rakdos, after all. Cycle this for a land, play it, keep a Blue Elemental Blast. So Rakdos Burn Madness is really scary on turn 3 because they can Faithless Looting. Vampire's Kiss is a good one too, but if they Faithless Looting, they can double Madness, like Kitchen Imp, Fiery Temper, something like that. Get to hold up Counterspell here. We'll take a Bolt. Next turn we can potentially evoke Muldrifter with Undying Evil. If we want to go for that, we are at 12, so we'll need to start countering some things that keep us alive. We are going to counter that. I think I want to use an actual counterspell because the Blue Elemental Blast is cheaper to hold up later, and I like diversity in my counterspells. We are going to cycle Lorien Revealed for, I think, just another untapped island. Get the Alms of the Vein in here. I think we want another untapped island. That is if we want to do the Muldrifter combo. That leaves us pretty exposed if they have just like triple Bolt or Alms. This does also just let us hold up both counterspell and Blue Elemental Blast though, so I think we'll wait a turn, hold up our interaction. Next turn we can do the same thing with the Muldrifter, Undying Evil, and we'll be able to hold up the Blue Elemental Blast if we want to. So I think that's probably better, which means we'll want to save it this turn, potentially, and use our counterspell if we have the chance. Like here, I think we'll go with a counterspell, again, instead of Blue Elemental. Maybe wrong, because it hits less stuff. If they go Kitchen Imp here, I'm not going to be able to counter it. So maybe bad. I will say the Muldrifter is going to block it next turn, though. And if they try to bolt it, we can blast that. So we'll draw 2. Return to Action's a good draw. That's a great draw, actually. Assuming we make it to next turn, we can Goons Return to Action to gain a burst of 5 life. We are going to save Muldrifter from any sort of bolt here to try to stave off their attack. We are also just going to kill a Kessig Flame Breather. That kills us real fast, so we cannot afford to let that live. We also don't have another way to kill it at the moment. We're out of interaction for this turn. Faithless Looting. Let's see what they got. 2 mountains discarded off the Faithless Looting. Couldn't be happier. All right, they do have the cast down for the Muldrifter, but way better than them Faithless Looting into a Fiery Temper and an Alms of the Vein or something like that. So we're at 5, but they have 1 card in hand. Only bad part about going for the Blitz combo here is, well, we could Lash a Malice. No, we don't have triple black. Okay, so we can't do all of this, even if we wanted to. So we're just going to return to action. The bad news is we can't kill this Kitchen Imp this turn, but I think gaining 5 life is well worth that trade. Plus, this means we get to start pressuring them. I think we're not in too bad of a spot here, depending on what they draw. They do have a Faithless Looting in the graveyard, so they could easily snowball ahead with the right draws. Looting into an Alms of the Vein. So we're at 7. Kitchen Imp's going to put us to 5. They burn the red. Okay. We're going to Lash the Kitchen Imp. Augur, the best thing we could find off of Augur is Counterspell or a Reckoner's Bargain to gain 5 life if we need to. Echoing Decay is not either of those, but we're going to swing for 6. We're going to Obscure a Storefront to gain a life, hopefully put us a little bit more out of range of dying. I don't think there's any reason we need to do this now. We'll probably use the Echoing Decay because we showed it to them, and it's more expensive. Another Faithless Looting. Nothing off the Faithless Looting, just 2 swamps. That's great for us. We're gonna kill this. All right, we get to untap. Ooh, okay. I think this puts us on a 2-turn clock against them, so shortening their window. Undying Evil, and ideally we rip off the top a Counterspell. Off this Blitz. Might be deciding to cast it down. Yep, we can live with that. We have a lethal attack next turn anyway. This was mostly because we had it. Maybe should have left up black, but we couldn't. We used 2 black spells, which I guess we didn't need to use the Undying Evil. So that was probably a mistake. Probably should have left it up just in case they like Faithless Looting into double Kitchen Imp into Bolt. I wanted to hold up the double blue in case we could draw a counterspell. But yeah, thinking about it, there was no reason to Undying Evil there. Even if we didn't do that and they cast down this Goons, we have lethal next turn. First Faithless Looting, they discard Vampire's Kiss, Voldaren Epicure. They know they're dead next turn and they're really going for their outs. Second Faithless Looting, seeing if they can get something like some Alms of the Vein, Lightning Bolt. They do get a Kitchen Imp, Chain Lightning, down to 3, but they're out of cards. So, admittedly, I should have left up that black so that I could kill the Kitchen Imp this turn, although they're holding back because they realize they're not dead on board here if I don't have a removal spell. Obviously, I got it, and we will pick up the win. All right, on to the next match. All right, match 2 here against Fartak. Would like to go first, please. 1 land, Preordain. Do have some cheap interaction if we can find a swamp. Can't say it's a great hand. Even if we find a swamp, we're not doing anything unless we find 2 lands. If I needed only 1 card, I'd be fine, but 2 lands here, not a great hand either, especially because we're probably going to Brainstorm lock ourselves. But we do have a Mole Drifter on 3 if we can get there. We're going to give it a try. We don't really want to go down more. I'll pitch the Wretched Gryff. It's far too expensive here. We're going to hold the Brainstorm until we miss a land drop so that we can dig as deep as possible. They have Actual Factual Desert. Obscure Storefront. Well, that changes things. We could Brainstorm now, and then this makes it so we can have a counterspell up next turn. I kind of like I like the cards in our hands because Undying Evil, Mole Drifter, we can maybe do that combo. So I almost don't want to do the Brainstorm here, and I just want to Obscure Storefront, Brainstorm, and find a 4th land, but then we get Brainstorm locked. Probably should just go for it. All right, Desert. Not 100% sure what deck would be running this. Probably some sort of control deck. I don't think we need a Shambling Ghast, especially against a Desert. 4th land, or yeah, let's just pitch the Brainstorm. Keep our lands. Now we have everything we need for this turn 4 Mole Drifter scam, if they have no interaction. We'll see if we actually do it. Island for them. Yeah, some sort of control deck's right. Play a swamp and pass it back. Accumulated Knowledge. Okay. Seems like probably mono blue Terror or Tempo then. Oh no, Thornwood Falls. Blue-green. Is this Turbo Fog? I'm not super familiar with Turbo Fog, so not sure if this is it. They have 1 and a blue up. We're going to go for it. They could definitely just have like a loose focus, but Arcane Denial. Yeah, that's definitely Turbo Fog. Can't say that's my favorite matchup. We are probably set up better to defeat Turbo Fog than like a true Dimir control deck. It takes so long for them to get their terrors online, and they can fog a couple of times and just stall them entirely. Whereas we can present a pretty aggressive attacks several turns in a row pretty early. Now, we're not finding any of our goons, so that's going to take a little bit longer. Yeah, I mean, next turn we can play a Lorien Revealed and draw more cards. But I know that Turbo Fog doesn't play pretty much any creatures, so I know that this Snuff Out's probably a dead card. Words of Wisdom, you draw 2, then each other player draws a card. Okay, I guess we'll draw a card. Ditch this Snuff Out. That's not going to do us any good. This is a really minor case, but Lash of Malice is actually not a fully dead card in this matchup because of the fact that it's not Disfigure. Disfigure wouldn't have anything to kill. The fact that it can pump 2 power may come up, may be relevant, which I like just a little bit more. That said, we need a creature to be able to use that to its full ability. And if we just keep drawing lands, the problem is we're going to have to cast this Lorien Revealed, which is not great because our opponent wants us to draw cards. But here we are. It's early, but I have a feeling we've already lost this game. Just can't do much here. We're not being aggressive enough. Even when we finally draw a Girder Goons, they'll just probably have the fogs for them. But we'll see what happens. The other thing is, like, what cards does this deck have that I can even counterspell, right? Like, I guess their next Accumulated Knowledge that's going to draw 3 cards, I'll counterspell that. But otherwise, like, I have to wait until they play the one that, like, shuffles stuff in, but that replicates. And tough spot. Brainstorm's a good draw since we have this Storefront. There are some creatures. Okay. Despite what I said, we're getting rid of the Lash for sure. Probably the Lorien Revealed. I mean, we're about to play an Augur and just pull one of these cards back. It's probably going to be the Lorien Revealed, so let's do that. Yeah, grab the Lorien. Actually not going to Storefront since we used the Augur. We're going to save that for the Brainstorm next turn and just try to be aggressive here. Arcane Denial. We're going to go for the Counterspell. Since we need our threats, I'm sure they're going to have a Counterspell to deal with it. Arcane Denial. Arcane Denial. Question is, do we draw cards? I know that they want us to, but it's also like the only way we're going to get out of this is by drawing the cards. Weather the Storm, and we cast a crap ton. Okay, I think this one's over, but not really a quitter. Because they only have 4 cards. About to be 7. Well, I think we got to draw. Look at all these amazing cards we got. Can kill all their X2s. Lorien revealed. You got it. Foretold a card. I'm sure that's a Behold the Multiverse. Goons off the top would be pretty good because they're tapped out. We actually have a shot to get in a little bit of damage against their 43 life. Snuff out's just about the opposite. We're going to brainstorm. Found a Wretched Griff, which is good, but not a lot else. We're going to get rid of his Snuff Out and this Echoing Decay. We're going to shuffle, and I think we're going to try again with the Brainstorm. Try to find no goons. All removal. Only removal. We're going to shuffle away. Nothing to grab, that's fine. Don't even need more lands, honestly. We'll get in for one. Stick it to the man. We could hold up counter spells, or we can Undying Evil, and then Wretched Griff while they're tapped out. Guess we might as well. So we can emerge from the Augur, grab a counter spell, draw a card, Dismal Backwater. I know life doesn't matter in this matchup, so get rid of that. I mean, if we'd found a Goons early-ish, we had a chance for sure, but we've drawn through half our deck, haven't found a single one. There's a Shambling Ghast. Start the Fog Train a-rolling, or get in for a little bit of damage. Okay, we'll see what happens. Nothing happens in this matchup. That's kind of what they do. They're tapping a bunch for the Replicate card. Stream of Thought, that's what it's called. So target player mills 4, you shuffle 4 cards to move right into your library. Where's a Lose Focus when you need one? So what, we mill 12, they shuffle 12 back in. I don't think countering any of these does much. I could counter all of them. I think we just take it. And we rip a Goons off the top. Now, is it far too late? Yes. Are we going to go for it anyway? Indeed we are. Do a bunch of damage. We could have returned to action if they had the Fog, which we saw that they're playing actual Fog, right? With the 1 mana up. So if they played the Fog, then we lose the lifelink, which is irrelevant because they're not going to kill us with life. Theoretically, we could kill them in... This puts us at 27 in 2 turns. That's not going to happen, obviously, because they're going to mill us out before then and have a lot of Fogs, but one can hope. We do have counterspells. Theoretically, we could counterspell all their Fogs and get there. Prevent all damage. Yeah, so we are going to counterspell this. It takes us out for 2 turns. They're going to counter us. We're going to counter them. They're going to counter us. Oh, they're going to Moment's Peace. See, that's a problem because we can counter that one, but they can flash it back. So I'd prefer to not do that this turn. So no damage. Lorien revealed. We only have 1 counterspell left. They already have a million cards. We got to save it for a Fog. Hope they draw really poorly. Try again. Go to attacks. Flashback Moment's Peace. We let them do that. They're going to kill a rogue. That's fine. Technically it does decrease our clock. It makes our clock worse. I'm going to look at my deck here to see if Lorien Revealed does anything other than just mill us out. We have more card draw. We do have a Muldrifter and a Mourn Welk and a Goons and an Augur. So not really. We're going to decline because it's 1 card. More Bog us. Doesn't matter. We have no cards that care about our graveyard in that way. Land off the top. Try to attack for 11 damage. Moment's Peace. We're already within mill out range if they have the Stream of Thought. So I think we're just going to Lorien Reveal this turn. See if we draw anything relevant. We drew a Mournwell. Do we have enough mana? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have enough mana to Mournwell plus Not Dead or Return to Action plus Counterspell. I mean, we're going for it. If we can take every card out of their hand, we can definitely win this game. They do have the Arcane Denial. We're going to counterspell that. And they just have another Arcane Denial. Preordain. Draw more cards. Sure. They're cantripping 17 times. Stream of Thought. We are dead. Sideboard. Relics in. Duress is in. Stormbound is just threats, I suppose, in. Seeing as we want to take out all of our removal. We have a lot of slots to fill. This means we might even need to keep this Lash of Malice because they're not red. Don't think there are any artifacts or enchantments. Everything else is removal. So that's what we're running. This is a pretty good hand. Just a lot of creatures pretty quickly that we can deploy. Not that they deal a ton of damage, but getting a fast start is the most important thing. And this deck doesn't do fast super well, but this might actually be able to do something. Then again, they have a desert, so that's going to be annoying. Shambling Ghast can deal them 1 damage. I guess we probably just hold the Shambling Ghast until the desert is tapped. I'm not going to tap it, though. We might as well just use this to get a Stormbound Geist down right away. That's just 2 flying damage every turn, which is something. All right, make a treasure. That's a 10-turn clock, which is usually a joke with a number that high, but this deck takes a long time, And I mean, I don't think they have any way to get a creature off the board once it's on the board, right? They have fogs to prevent the damage, and they have a lot of counter spells. Obviously, I'm not sure about their sideboard, but if this starts eating fogs for 2 damage, that's not bad either. I think we're going to hold this Bojuka Bog, even if it means we'll miss our land drops for kind of a while. And we do still want to be aggressive, so I'm going to play this Augur rather than the Preordain here. I'd much rather play Bojuka Bog when we can hit at least a few cards, accumulated knowledges and things like that. But 3 damage a turn, that's a bit of a clock. Brainstorm, thinking about countering the Brainstorm, but sides against it. Okay, we got 2 Girder Goons. We're going to keep those and ship this Ghast, which dies to Desert, and this Preordain to keep all of our lands and our goons. That's right. We'll obscure a storefront to shuffle away. Now, I know we sandbagged the Bojuka Bog, which means that these goons are going to be an extra turn off. I thought about that. Maybe that was wrong to do, but we had no way of knowing we were drawing the goons. Remember last game, it took us forever to, and the Bojuka Bog can be really powerful if we just strip away a bunch of their cards right before they go for a Stream of Thought. Growth Spiral, end step into a Preordain. Bottom 2, play a Desert. We're going to swing for 3. We hold up a counterspell. Next turn we can go with 1 goons. Accumulated for 1 is fine. Next turn we can go for a goons, not Undying. And then the following turn, if we play this Bog, we can go for another one Undying. They're at 11. Next turn we can attack them for 7. They're going to have to start leaving up and playing their fogs, which is decent. That's the other thing. I want a Bojuka Bog a Moment's Peace if I can. Take out at least half of a fog. That's a swamp, though. I think we go for Goons Undying right now. Probably going to counter it. So we might as well try now so that we can just try it next turn if it gets countered. Arcane Denial. We'll attack. No fog. I'm going to save the Bojuka Bog. Right now, all it's getting really is an accumulated knowledge and some card draw. Second knowledge. Weather the Storm. Gain 12. We're going to draw off the Arcane Denial. Those are some good cards. All right. Blitz of Goons. Can't hold up Counterspell, though. So if they just counter it, we get in for 3, but 3 a turn now that they've weathered the storm is not the fastest clock. What else we got going on? The only alternative is emerge a Wretched Grift from our Stormbound Geist, which increases the damage a little bit. A lot if the Griff resolves. Words of Wisdom. That resolves. Moment's Peace. We're going to Undying Evil. And now with 1 Moment's Peace, 2 accumulated knowledge. Oh, they have a Dispel. Well, that's unlucky. Well, with all that, we are going to Bojuka Bog them. We get rid of a Moment's Peace. We get rid of 2 accumulated knowledge and just a bunch of other cards that they can shuffle in with Stream of Thought. I think it's enough value. Fortunately, they had the Dispel for the goons, but I guess we can start hard casting Wretched Grifts. Second Desert can pick off a Rogue. Lorien Revealed, draw up to 8. Discard down and pass. We're going to attack for 5. I expect them to take it and then Desert off this Rogue. Wretched Grift costs 3 out of a Stormbound Geist. And then we can Augur, but we can't hold up Counterspell. Do we need to? The only thing we're really worried about to Counterspell is fogs. We're just going to Augur, pull up a Brainstorm, Wretched Grift out of the Stormbound Geist. Increase the clock a lot. Turn this Lorien Revealed into a island. Still Brainstorm Shuffle with this other Lorien Revealed if we'd like. We have 8 damage on the field. That's a 2-turn clock. Barring any fogs or anything that they may or may not have. Discards a Stream of Thought. Swing for the fences. Should have played an island first, because we actually only have 1 counterspell up. Yeah, which is going to be quite relevant when they counterspell this. Usually we have a lot more islands. This time we've drawn all our black sources, so I just kind of forgot. That was a mistake for sure. However, to make it not in vain, we can Undying Evil and Augur and emerge from it with Wretched Grift. This makes it so that even though most of our creatures can't attack next turn, we will have 2 creatures that can attack next turn, kind of circumventing the tangle a little bit. Miss on the Augur, draw from the Griff, pass the turn. Arcane Denial, draw, a couple okay cards. Looks like they're going for a Stream of Thought. We're going to Brainstorm in response. Use this to get rid of 2 dead cards. Probably the Return to Action and a land. Actually, just 2 lands. Maybe the 1 damage here does something. And I don't think the land does, seeing as we have plenty of land drops here. They shuffle their graveyard in. We have a Duress. Duress them while they're mostly tapped out. Stream of Thought and 2 Dispels. Okay, we actually have a shot here. All they have are Dispels. We'll Preordain. Don't want land. We just want more creatures. In fact, we should have done this first because we could have drawn a Girder Goons, which could have hit for 5 more. Yeah, that was silly. Don't need this or this. Let's cycle this Lorien. Island. Play that. We're at 15 cards in hand and deck. Play a Muldrifter. Another Duress. That could be good. Scrying on their upkeep to try to find something. They bottom. Gain a life. Currently we have 6, 10, 13, 12, 14 damage on board. Well, let's be not silly. Let's duress them, see what's going on. See if they are just dead or what's up. They have a moment's peace. We can counter that, but they have a dispel. So let's not. We'll take a dispel, cast a relic, pop it later when we want to, before our turn, and pass. Scry on their upkeep again, have dispel and land. Scry to the top. They probably found another fog or something. Or maybe a Lorien revealed. Draw 3, it's fine. So we still know they have the dispel. Can't really counterspell them there. But now they're tapped down enough. They can actually fog from the grave, which I guess they know about. Weather the storm, yep. They go up to 17. We're going to pop the graveyards. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 damage on board. So we will blitz a Girder Goons. Attack for lethal. All right. We have 5 minutes for the next game. Somehow I've been taking longer than the Turbofog player, but that's because I'm the one who has to think about things, right? They just fog. It's not a complicated deck at all, right? We won one game. Let's see if we can get another one. We're going to want something similar. We're going to want a fast start. We might need to mulligan to that. The duresses were nice. They came quite late. I wouldn't have minded one a little earlier. This hand has absolutely nothing. We cannot keep this. We cannot win a long game. So we're going to mulligan. This has 1 land, 2 brainstorms, an augur. I don't think we can win off of this. I think we're going to have to mulligan again. This is better. It's not amazing, but we have a Stormbound Geist, which was kind of our MVP last game. Keep. We have a Goons. I don't think Counterspell does anything early enough, so we're going to get rid of that, and we're going to get rid of this Swamp. So we need the double blue, and we want the Bajuka Bog. And we're going to need to play fast-ish. Dismal Backwater and pass. Lorien revealed, another one, that's good. That means we can get a turn 3 Stormbound Geist. Oh, they kept a 1-lander. That's pretty good for us. If we can just get the Stormbound Geist down and they stall a few turns, we got a good shot. They found the Lorien. Bummer. Looks like we're going to have to play a game. Cycle this for an untapped island. So we can get down the early Stormbound Geist and start cracking in. We're not going to do the missing a land drop with Bajuka Bog because we want to go fast. We're going to play it if we don't have another land because we want to get these Girder Goons down. Mournwelk is actually not bad. I guess we'll leave that on top. Maybe we should have played the Bajuka Bog anyway, so that we can start hard casting Goons. Words of Wisdom. Draw a Mournwelk. We're going to pass. Question is, do we want to Lash of Malice our own Stormbound Geist in order to make it a 3-power attacker? Or do we want to save it for the burst of 2 damage? Probably just want to upgrade our Stormbound Geist while we can. So I think we're going to do exactly that on the end step here. It's not doing really anything else for us, and this will probably end up being at least 2 damage extra. That's an Undying Evil. We are not blitzing a Girder Goons, apparently, which seems a little silly. Probably should have done that. But instead, we can just Mournwelk them. I mean, they probably have a counterspell up either way, so it's not a big deal. Might as well get that out of their hands. See, I was just clairvoyant, knew it was coming. And we need the Girder Goons to attack here. We're going to draw a couple good cards. By that I mean 1 good card, Stormbound. We're going to go for the Blitz. Probably get a Fog here. Moment's Peace, that's a good one. Relic, if we're lucky we can take the Moment's Peace without even having to pop the Relic. Well, that's alright. We'll Undying the Girder Goons. We'll just pop the Relic next turn. They have the Dispel. I guess we don't have the ability to pop the Relic before they can Moment's Peace, so maybe I should have saved the Undying Evil and just popped the Relic. That probably would have been smarter. Don't have the time to think too deeply about the plays. Should have played quicker before. But it's fine. We still have a decent shot here. We have a 3-turn clock at the moment. 4 with the Moment's Peace. Not blitzing because of the Moment's Peace. We'll probably just play the Stormbound and the Augur this turn. I'm going to take the last card from their grave. Cast a Stormbound Geist. Cast an Augur Bolas. I mean, that upgrades our Stormbound. It draws us 2. We really want to find a Duress or a Counterspell. We probably also need to stop playing into the Weather the Storm, if I'm honest. But we need to deploy our creatures. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have played the Augur. Again, we only cast 2 spells, right? They cast 1, so it's on them a little bit. I mean, they're getting low on cards. We're going to try to draw 2 and upgrade our Stormbound. We're going to Augur Bolas, get a Brainstorm, attack for 9, hard cast a Goons, I suppose. Growth Spiral in response. Pick up an island. Scry with this Scampus. The Scampus. Shrimp Scampus. My favorite Italian dish. Castellorian. We're going to brainstorm. Get rid of these two. Duress them. Have a moment's peace. We're going to take the stream of thought. Can't attack. We have a Lorien on top. We don't need to shuffle that away. We'll crack the relic on the end step. Don't really need to be targeting them with this. That takes up more of our time, so let's not do that. They have a Dispel in hand. We have 14 damage. We have lethal damage next turn with the split StrataGames. So if we can dodge a count, well, they just did 2 top with their preordained, so I don't think we're dodging anything. Pop the relic to get rid of the moment's peace. We're going to blitz a Goons for lethal, so they have to fog it. They have the tangle. We're gonna buy back this Goons so that it comes back and can attack next turn, even past this tangle. Unless they dispel this, which we know they have in hand, but what else are we going to do? They don't, because they're worried we're baiting for a counterspell on their tangle, which would have been pretty sick, admittedly. Grab an island. Nope, a swamp. This will die on the end step. Triggers. They're going to scry. We don't have anything to do during their turn, so we're just going to F6 to try not to use up our time. And we can hit for 6 next turn. Only got 2 cards in hand. We drew a counterspell, which is pretty good. Go to damage. Draw off this Lorien. They counterspell. That's fine. We don't even need it. They still just, I think they just have that Dispel in hand, so if they can't find anything, I mean, this counterspell doesn't do us much good with the Dispel that they have. And they scry to the top, so that's a bad sign. Accumulated knowledge. Duress. They scry, still in their upkeep. Let's duress them. Take a Dispel. Go for lethal. They didn't find it. Whew. I was not expecting that. Should have played a little faster so I didn't have to rush at the end. But we got there against Turbo Fog, one of my least favorite matchups, especially with this deck. But yeah, we got there. Thought we were dead for sure. All right, match 3 against Sculpture. Quite the worthy opponent. We will be on the play. His hand has some interaction. Could draw and cantrip. I think we keep it even though it doesn't really have any creatures. Preordain into Augur and Brainstorm. Yeah, I kind of like those. We can Augur next turn. Potentially. We won't necessarily hit. Or we can maybe just Brainstorm Lorien. Looks like they're on Rakdos Burn, maybe? We can do that this at instant speed. Let's just pass. Brainstorm Lorien revealed, then we'll Augur. I could Lorien first, then Brainstorm. Then we know that our Augur is going to hit. I might actually do that. Make sure we get the value out of it. Curse of the Pierced Heart. I played against this before, and it's honestly really scary. The curse is just inevitability. We'll get a black source, and then we will Brainstorm. Do it in a weird way so that we can grab this. I don't think we want to use this Snuff Out, which means we'll give it the best chance to not be picked up. If it's the only thing, we'll still pick it up. Augur of Bolas. Yep, see, we'll take it, but would have preferred something else for sure. We need to be fast-ish, because this curse is... 9 turns. We now have 9 turns left in the game, no matter what. Every lightning bolt shaves a turn off of that. Pretty scary, to be honest. I mean, we have to be as aggressive as possible. So we're going to Stormbound. Next turn, we're going to Muldrifter Undying Evil, so that the following turn we can be attacked for 6. Like, they've used 2 cards, and I'm already terrified, and they have 7 cards in hand, and we could just die. Not to mention the Jagged Barons. The more I play against this deck, the more I'm honestly really scared that it's real. I guess this is more of a burn version than like the Rakdos version, but yeah, it does kill you quickly. Undying this, come back, draw 2 more, lay an island, attack, discard this Snuff Out. We can hit them for 6, and then we can hit them for 8. We have like a 3-turn clock. That's not good. Reckoner's Bargain's really good here. We're going to probably have to use that on a Muldrifter. Gain 5. Faithless Looting. If they're still playing like the Madness cards, this could be really bad. Discard a Fiery Temper and a Kitchen Imp. Yeah, so they can kill the Muldrifter and then swing with the Kitchen Imp for 2. Really wish we had Reckoner's Bargain up. No, they're just going face with the Fiery Temper. Aldar Epicure. I guess the Kitchen Imp is defense, maybe, because they know that we're just dead to the curses in 3 turns. We luckily do have the life gain off the Reckoner's Bargain. Probably should have cycled this Lorien Field. There's no way we're going to have time to hardcast it. I want to Reckoner's Bargain this Muldrifter, but I kind of need to shoot this unless we're going to leave back a blocker. Can't really afford to leave back a blocker, so I guess we can attack with everything. Like, we have to attack them because we have to try to kill them quickly, but also we need to not die. So yeah, if they chump here, then they're doing all right. Okay, so we got to kill that, which means actually we can Muldrifter, can evoke this Muldrifter and Reckoner's Bargain it. Puts us to 9. We're down to 7. And then we can play the Shambling Gas to block this. I guess we do that. Cast that for its evoke cost. Draw 2. We're going to Reckoner's Bargain it. Cast a Shambling Ghast. Go to end step. We don't need this many removal spells. We have a chance if they don't just have like 3 bolts in hand. We have an Obscure Storefront for another life. We have a, what's this? 7 damage, so we have a 2-turn clock on them. All right, discard a Fiery Temper. Puts us to 6. Vampire's Kiss puts us to 4. Upkeep 2. By attacking here, they're at 15 because they gained 2, so we don't have a 2-turn clock here anyway. We're going to need to block. Gives us some mana. They got the Epicure, so if we didn't block, we were dead. Oh, Jagged Barrens. Oh my gosh. These lands are so good in this deck. So we're dead. I mean, I can cycle all the lands I want, but... Oh, Curse is so good. Curse of the Pierced Heart. We need Blue Elemental Blasts, of course, for this matchup. Duresses? Like, I'm so scared of the Curse now. Like, I don't think we put in a Nulls just because it only hits Curse. The Blue Elemental Blasts can take care of them. I think we might Duress. It can take like a Faithless Looting, which could be crucial. It can take a Curse, and it can just take a Bolt if need be. Get rid of the Snuff Outs. Get rid of the Mournwelk. Too slow. Shambling Ghasts block fine. We want our life gain. I don't hate putting in more Stormbound Geists because they block Kitchen Imps and they attack in case we need to be a little bit more aggressive there. What are we cutting? I guess Wretched Griff's pretty slow. They don't have that many creatures, so maybe I can cut like a Cast Down if we're putting in the Stormbound Geist, which block the Kitchen Imp, which is the biggest problem. Cut a Brainstorm, just because we don't have enough time to like Dirtle, I guess. Go on the play. We have an Augur, we have a Counterspell, a little bit of life gain. It's also 4 lands. Spells we can cast, like it's kind of hard to mulligan that. We'll lose that life right away. Play an Augur. 3rd counterspell. I think I'm going to go for the Undying Evil, actually. This Swamp makes that 3rd counterspell awkward because it's hard. Even with these 4 lands, we're not going to be able to cast 2 at a time. Since we're on the play, maybe we can get a fast Girder Goons down, deal them a little bit of damage, hold up the cast down in case they play a Kitchen Imp. They have the Curse. We were not able to hold up the counterspell. We could have if we hadn't played the Augur. Might have been wrong, but we can get rid of it with a Blue Elemental Blast if we can find one. Hey, there's one right there. In that case, we'll just cast that at their end step, probably. Unless we have to counterspell, since this Swamp is making things awkward. Crack their blood to cast a Kitchen Imp. We can cast that down, which we will do so. Vampire's Kiss. Alright, we get to blow up the Curse here, which is nice. Duress. We want to wait until we have a 5th land for the Undying Evil Girder Goons, so we're just going to Duress them. Chain Lightning, Fiery Temper, cast down Alms of the Vein. I mean, we're just taking a 3 damage. They have 2 blood tokens, so we might as well take the Alms of the Vein because it gains them 3, or the Fiery Temper because it can go to a creature. They have a Chain Lightning either way, so we'll do that while they have no mana to madness it. I'm remembering, because of that, something that I've thought before. It feels a little weird and awkward to decide in Duresses against a madness deck, but usually you can just take something that doesn't have madness, which we could have there, or if they're tapped out, it's not a big deal either way. They Fiery Temper our Augur here. I think we would Undying Evil it, honestly. Chain Lightning the face. I mean, we could Counterspell to save a little bit of life. I think we will. We have 2 counterspells, plus if we draw an untapped land, we're probably going to tap out for this Girder Goons, so it's a little awkward to give them all the damage now, and then all the damage they want on next turn. Like, I think I kind of have to go for it. Played a Swamp, so we know they have Cast Down, Rakdos, Carnarium, and 1 unknown. Problem is this makes the Girder Goons bad. I can go for it, but then they can kill it with a Cast Down in response to the Undying Evil. For that reason, maybe I hardcast it. Think we'll do that. If they cast it down right away, but this makes it so that they have to act, and if they wait until we're untapped, we can Undying Evil it and get a ton of value. We're not going to attack because if they cast down, we're not going to have a blocker. We'll take 1 damage. Every point of life counts. There's the cast down. Discard a mountain with the blood token. That's good. That means they don't have a lot going on in their hand. A little bit of desperation, which is exactly where we want them to be. They do Hardcast and Alms of the Vein. Playing the Piranha Marsh, too. Classic. Even with the Jagged Barrens, probably just a 1 or 2 of. We're at 9, and they have a Carnarium in hand, which represents 1 damage off of Jagged Barrens. So, unfortunately, our clock is not very fast. I don't want to trade this 1 damage for this 1 damage. We have a 2/2 that can swing in, at the very least. Curse of the Pierced Heart. We are going to counterspell that 100%. Play the Carnarium. Last card in hand is going to be this. Piranha Marsh. Duress. Pretty bad draw. Now that they have no cards in hand and 6, almost 7 mana. No, 7, almost 8 mana. It's unlikely to hit anything. Preordain will find something, hopefully. Reckoner's Bargain and a Stormbound Geist. Those are great draws. I don't think we're dying this next turn, so I'm going to risk it, and I'm going to take the Stormbound Geist first so that I can get it down and start attacking with it. Next turn, I'll get the Reckoner's Bargain, which we will use with our Stormbound Geist to gain 3 life, not a ton, but some, and also upgrade our Stormbound Geist. Vampire's Kiss, Jagged Barrens, down to 5. Alternatively, we could Undying Evil this Augur and then Reckoner's Bargain it. We gain 1 less life, but it helps us find another counterspell or something maybe. I kind of like that. It doesn't speed up our clock though, and the Undying Evil is nice if we find a Girder Goons, so I guess we'll just stick on the original plan. We're gonna go with it now in case we draw another Augur or a Geist, something that a creature we can cast. For example, this Augur. Let's Rainstorm first so that we have a hit for sure. There's a Goons. Okay, so this is great. We don't want this Duress, so we'll put back an Undying Evil and a Duress. We'll cast an Augur, pick up the Undying Evil, play a land, and next turn we can go for the Goon Scam, which turns our clock up quite a bit. They did pitch a Mountain to a Blood token. Found an Epicure, that is a blocker and a damage. We find a blue Elemental Blast, great draw. Blitz the Goons, attack 4. This is 9. Let's make it 10. We want to leave 1 back. If they want to swing with both to get 1, that'll be okay. Probably going to need to chump here though. They'll do that. Undying the Girder Goons. Get it back, and next turn we have 6, 7, 8, 9 damage through their chump blocker, but if they don't have anything we need to counter with this blue Elemental Blast, we can blow up their Voldaren Epicure as their only blocker, swing in for lethal. Chain Lightning, that puts us to 4, not dead, and we can kill their blocker. Back with everything. Alright, game 3. We got a pretty good hand. A lot of creatures, good for blockers, and if we need to act aggressively against them, like with the Curse of the Pierced Heart. Opponent mulliganing to 6. Bolt right off the top of the game, like not off the top of the deck. Hey, there's our second blue source and a life, not bad. Underworld Ragehound. I've seen this as tech a couple times before. It's pretty hot. Keeps coming back as I deplete their resources. We're going to trade an Augur for it if the Augur doesn't eat a Bolt. Picked up a Lorien off this Augur. Might even hard cast that this game. We already have 5 lands. Faithless for the opponent. Pitching 2 mountains. Love to see it. The Ragehound knows nothing but war. No choice there. We will block. Epicure. There are 2 cards and we have 17 life left. That's pretty good for us. Reckoner's Bargain's pretty good too. All our blue sources are tapped, so we can't play the Stormbound Geist this turn. Plus we want a blocker for the Epicure. So we're going to go with an Augur. Pick of the litter here. I think we want a counterspell and get this Dismal Backwater going. I must say this is a pretty good hand. Vampire's Kiss. A lot of blood tokens. A Hemophile over there. I think that would mean Lover of Blood, right? 2 cards in hand, one of which is a mountain. Yeah, we'll play a tap land and a Stormbound Geist. Stormbound can only block flyers, so we're still leaving the Augur back because we don't want to trade 1 damage for 1 damage. But we can start getting with this Geist, which is nice. They are up to 4 mana, so they can unearth this Ragehound, and it comes back as a 4/2, which means Augur can't trade with it. Luckily, we do have this Echoing Decay. Or they could just flashback Faithless Looting, Crack of Blood, or a Kitchen Imp. That trades with a Stormbound Geist and just upgrades ours, so not too upset about that. The second Kitchen Imp, they want to rumble. Come on. Very down. I mean, I could just Echoing Decay these, but this saves me 2 damage and literally just upgrades my Geist. I guess maybe if I want to use the Geist for the Reckoner's Bargain, that's worse. But ideally, I want to use the Reckoner's Bargain on, like, something else. And this way I can use this Echoing Decay either for that Ragehound or one of the Voldaren, or both of the Epicures, maybe. We want to leave up some interactions, so we're going to Preordain. I don't really want that Brainstorm because I don't want to shuffle with this Lorien, so we'll just get rid of both of those. There's another Lorien. Okay, so I can swing for 3, but then I'm priced into Echoing Decay the Kitchen Imp. I think I'd rather just hold back, play it a little patient, hold up Counterspell, Echoing Decay on the dog or both of the Epicures. Alms of the Vein. Don't think we'll counter that. We really don't want to counter that and then get hit with like a Curse of the Pierced Heart. Casting that dog, it looks like. Got that dog in him. And we want to use up a little bit of our mana here. So we're just going to Echoing Decay the dog. We don't want a Reckoner's Bargain. Here we go. So now we can Mulldrifter. We can evoke the Mulldrifter and Reckoner's Bargain. It's pretty good. Or we could just hardcast a Mulldrifter. And then potentially bargain it later. We're not that worried about dying right now, so I think we can just hard cast the Mole Drifter. Found way more creatures. That's lovely. Could attack with the Stormbound, and then that's saying I'm willing to trade the Mole Drifter for the Kitchen Imp, but we're about to start getting really aggressive, so I don't hate that. And I might just Reckoner's Bargain the Goons to gain 5. So, like, I don't necessarily need the Mole Drifter for that. We're going to cycle a Lorien on the end step here. We don't really want to be tapping out for drawing cards. We have plenty of things to do with our mana. We want to hit our land drops at this point. Firebolt to the Dome. Looks like Doggy. Jagged Barrens. All right, down to 7 with a Firebolt in the graveyard. Cycle a Lorien. Find an untapped land. We might want to hardcast this Girder Goons to trade with this Rage Hound. That honestly feels kind of bad, but it allows us to leave up the Reckoner's Bargain and the Counterspell. We do need to do something about the Rage Hound. I'll attack for 3 with the Stormbound Geist. Try to apply a little bit of pressure, but yeah, this doesn't feel amazing, but it'll trade. The dog is not going to be coming back again for a long time, so that's not too bad. And it gives us a 2/2, which can block or start getting in. Flashback Faithful Suiting. I think that's fine. I don't think we need to counter that. Might need to counter something that Madness is off of it, though. Just 2 mountains. Okay, I love to see it. They are attacking with the Kitchen Imp and the dog. I'll make a couple trades. The only bad part about this is trading both of my 5-drops, so this bargain isn't gaining me 5 anymore. It might only gain me 3, but I think I'd prefer to trade for those and get them off the table. This stops pretty much all their aggression. Another Jagged Barrens. I think I'm going to Brainstorm at the end step here. We don't need a Duress. We don't need a Bog. Actually, Bog gets rid of Firebolt and the Rage Hound, so actually I think we do want to, yeah, we'll want to keep that. We can cycle here. We're going to Stormbound Geist. I think we're just going to Reckoner's Bargain it now. We're going to Bajuka Bog, get rid of their Firebolt and their dog, attack for 5, and then we get to hold up Agony Warp and Counterspell. Finally, feeling pretty good. They only have 1 card in hand. Using the blood, discard a mountain. They're going to attack for 1. I don't think I need to Agony Warp, Panic, or anything. I think we'll just Counterspell anything that they play that's scary. And we have a couple blockers to play, so now we're going to go all the damage at them for 9. Play an Augur, pick up a Blue Elemental Blast, great hit. Play a land, play a Shambling Ghast, pass the turn. And there we go, we won the match. On to match 4. All right, round 4 against Kexman. We're going to be on the play. 2 swamps, 2 black sources. Yeah, I can't keep that. Probably would if I had a blue source, but gonna mulligan. 3 lands, double Wretched Griff. We'll get rid of 1 of our 7-drops. It's not amazing, but we have 1 piece of interaction early. We have 3 lands plus a 4th with the Lorien, so we're hitting our land drops at the very least. What more can you ask for? Volatile Fjord, likely Izzet Control Tempo or Jeskai Ephemerate, Snow-Covered Mountain, Augur or Bolas. Still could be either, I suppose, but leaning towards Izzet. We might hardcast this Lorien, so let's keep it for now. A lot of land. We'll play the Storefront next turn. Keep it 1 more turn in case we draw a Brainstorm, but I'm going to play it next turn so that I can slam a Lorien on turn 5. Bottomed 2, cycle Lorien. Okay, Snow-Covered Island. Dismal Backwater. Well, we'll play that tap land, still keep the Storefront in case we draw a Brainstorm. I mean, luckily they're not doing too much. Preordain, take a damage. They could just have a counterspell for it, but what else are we doing? If they counterspell it, there are 4 cards in grave, so Terror's 2. We have a Snuff out for it, but if they counter that, we're in a pretty bad spot. But I don't, like, when are they going to tap out? Spell Pierce does hurt for sure, but if they have a Spell Pierce, again, it's going to get a Lorien unless we wait till turn 7. Not going to snuff out their Augur. Going to decline to do that. Ponder. They shuffle, play a Terror, and play another Terror. Seems bad. We'll snuff one of them out, and we'll chump the other, I suppose. And we'll play our Storefront so that if we draw a land, we can hardcast this Wretched Griff. Or maybe once we chump with this Ghast, we'll hardcast it off of the treasure. Cast a Ponder. Attack with both. We'll go for the chump skis. Create a Trej. Deciding if they want to cast Monarch or another Terror. That's pretty bad, I've heard. I thought we got rid of you. Do I want to cast this? Or do we want to just concede and go to the next game? We don't have anything here. Two 7-drops, I don't think it's going to cut it. Let's bring in our relics, our duresses, our extract. We want to take out Shambling Ghasts, don't do anything. Our Echoing Decay doesn't do anything, really. Lash of Malice doesn't do too much either. The only things these kill, I guess, usually they play a couple Crimson Fleet Commodores. I couldn't think of it. These kill those, but that's it. Slash of Malice does hit for 2 extra. Or it kills birds off of Murmuring Mystic. Stormbound Geist doesn't really block anything, but it can help us take back initiative. I don't think we want a bunch, but maybe the 1 is fine. Do we have any more cuts we want to make? We don't really need Reckoner's Bargain here. I do like Return to Action, not for the life gain in this, but because it gives +1/+0, that can make our Girder Goons trade with a Terror, or even kill a Murmuring Mystic if they're blocking with it, which nobody expects combat tricks because generally they're not very good. So I kind of like keeping that in for those cases. We could bring in Blue Elemental Blasts. All that's going to hit, though, is their Lightning Bolts, their Screds, and their Fire Blasts, Pyro Blasts, which they're going to bring in. And I guess their Crimson Fleet Commodore. So I think we'll just run it like that and see how it goes. This is not bad. We got some lands, we got a Duress, gain a life, another Duress. Kind of like to hold these for a turn where it's more impactful, but maybe I shoot off 1 now just to see what they have going on. Then again, they have Spell Pierce, so that doesn't do that much. I might as well wait till next turn and do it so they can't Spell Pierce it. And maybe they tap out for like an Augur, and then we take a card. Got that mountain. Obscure a Storefront. Okay, we could go for the Brainstorm. Kind of want to see what's up with this Duress, though. Let's just shoot one of those off. Play the land first so we don't get Spell Pierced. Or lose focused. Lost focus? Okay, a whole bunch of interaction and a Tolarian Terror. They only have 1 other land, so I don't hate taking this Lorien Revealed. They do have the Spell Pierce. Scred, Red Elemental Blasts. We'll just play around those, so we'll take the Lorien. Brainstorm probably gets eaten by like a Red Elemental Blast, but that's fine. Play an island and pass. Alright, we'll go for the Brainstorm. They are going to counter it. Hit our land drop. Brainstorm of their own. Play a mountain. They did find that land. Pass. Got to return to action. We're going to pass. They tap out for the Terror. We're going to counter that while they don't have Red Elemental or Spell Pierce up. Alright, so we drew the Swamp. We can hardcast a Girder Goons. It just dies to a Scred. This is the only time they're going to be tapped out, though, and unfortunately this return to action is not an Undying Evil. So I could take the Scred with a Duress, but even then they're going to have a Spell Pierce up for like the return to action when we go for that. So I think we just go for the Girder Goons. I think we hardcast it. Not often do you want to hardcast, but sometimes you need to. You can Duress later on a more crucial turn. They have the Murmuring Mystic, but they have to tap out for it again. Cast down would be great. There's the Undying Evil. Okay, well, we get to attack. If they block with anything, we blow them out. Well, we don't blow them out. We just simply kill their guy. But they're probably not going to. We don't have any way to kill it, even if we spend 2 spells. We don't have any way to sack our goons, so we didn't have a reason to return to action. We're going to Duress now so that we at least get a card out that they can't cast with this Murmuring Mystic. However, their hand is stacked with spells. 2 Screds, Lightning Bolt, Red Elemental, Spell Pierce. We're just going to keep playing around the Spell Pierce and the Red Elemental, I think. So we'll take a Scred. They do have enough to kill the Girder Goons. This is unfortunate. We are probably just going to die to a Murmuring Mystic that we can't deal with. Good news is, if they Scred now, we can just Undying Evil our guy, which is pretty good, and they don't have any way to deal with that. They're going to swing. What if I have Immolating Glare? No respect. Okay, I guess they're just going to get the nuts. We're going to draw, hopefully, the nuts. Muldrifter, Wretched Grave. Those are some good cards. I mean, we keep them both. I think we then Muldrifter, Undying Evil this turn just to draw. Like, our way out of this is drawing 1,000,000. So I think that's our plan. Unless they block, in which case we will gladly take the killing of a Murmuring Mystic. Muldrifter, draw 2, Undying Evil, the Evoke trigger. That was a great draw. Just not sure it's going to be in with 2 Mystics on board. They go for the bolts on the Muldrifter. And we had to tap out for this too, which means we can't save any of our stuff, unfortunately. Hopefully the card advantage we got will be decent. We do have an Echoing Decay in the deck still, which can wipe all the birds when we need to. They're going to pass. Another Undying Evil. We're going to swing. Sequencing is very important in every case, but especially here. As I think we're going to return to action, then cycle this for an island, then we Wretched Griff. Well, if we return to action and they respond with a Scred, we can counterspell, but they can Spell Pierce it. So we're actually going to have to Undying Evil so that we don't get Spell Pierced. Oh, but they have the red blast. No, they only have 1 red. Return to action we need to do before damage to gain a life. Undying Evil we don't. So let's just eat the bird. We're going to undo. We're going to cycle this Lorien Revealed for a land. We're about to draw a couple cards. As much as we wouldn't mind drawing a bunch, we also don't want to get this red blasted. Play an island. We will Undying Evil this Goons. Then we will Wretched Griff. This is going to get us a card off the Wretched Griff, a 2/2, and it's going to bring back our Goons. Not as much value as if we blitzed the Goons, but so it goes. Played our land. Then we're going to Relic. We're going to Spell Pierce that. That's fine. This does make it so that we're not going to be able to crack the Relic, and it taps us out. So maybe I should just let it go and hold up the counterspell, but then they have the Red Blast, and they have the Scred, which we knew about. They make a million birds here. And then we pass. Swing for 4. Augur Bolas. That's going to get red blasted, probably. Really need to find an Echoing Decay. I think that's our only out to the birds in the main deck, or just some cast downs to kill these Murmuring Mystics would be great. I'm going to go for the red blast. Activate Relic. Do we want this Augur this badly? Don't think so. I think we need to hold up the counterspell. We're going to swing with both. No, that opens the Murmuring Mystics to get in for 2. I guess we'll just swing with the Goons then. We are going to return to action the Goons, but probably not this turn. Yeah, I'll probably wait until a turn where he might actually die. I think we're going to crack the Relic, just in case they draw a Terror. This will slow it down. The counterspell, play a land. Pass the turn. They're going to ponder. Shuffle their library. Cycle the Lorien. Swing with the Flock. I can Agony Warp this, but we're going to try to kill one of these. I could do it now to save a life, a damage, but if they have a Bolt, they'll bolt this in response. So we'll do it now so that if the only way they have to do that is a bolt, they won't be able to save it. If they have a counterspell, it doesn't matter either way. We got one off the table. Maybe we have a chance with this life gain off the return to action. And a Stormbound Geist, that's a blocker. They have 6, 7, 8, 9 damage next turn. So we either have to leave back a blocker or we need to use return to action. I think we want to go all in, so I think we're going to return to action. We also have perfect mana to return to action, Stormbound Geist, and counterspell. Then blocking does make it so they don't have lethal unless they have a bolt. If they have a bolt, we're going to die. So let's use return to action. Try to gain 6 life here. I wish we had a Wretched Griff or something to emerge now to get the extra value of a rogue token, but we don't. We're going to have to manage like this. They have the counterspell. We're going to fight over it. And we're not in a terrible spot. I mean, we're pretty bad because they can still, they still have us on about a 2-turn clock. But if they swing all out, we can maybe get them with like a Goons off the top. Take 8 down to 7. Ponder for another bird. That means lethal in the air, even if we leave back Stormbound. So we have to find something, and a Goons doesn't do it because now they have a blocker, unfortunately, and they chose not to shuffle. So that's, yeah, pretty bad. Augur. I think it's Echoing Decay or bust now. I found a red elemental blast, which means our counterspell is useless. We can cast a Lorien Revealed, but it gets red elemental blasted. We can counterspell it, but then we don't have any mana to use the Echoing Decay we might draw. But we're dead regardless, so let's go for it. Maybe they think this isn't worth countering. Crazy. I don't think there's anything we could draw that would help us here, but we will try. Gain a life, but we let them make another bird. I think we're still just dead. We'll attack with the Goons, though. Even if they jumped with a bird, if they swing with everything, they still got us. But that's what happens when your opponent has 2 Murmuring Mystics for 4 turns. Yeah, you got it. Well, unfortunate, but we'll see you in the last match. Round 5 here in the league. This hand is not amazing, but 4 lands, turn 2 play, maybe a Lorien Revealed to cast, maybe for another mana. We're going to run it. We're against Spoke here. Forest, but no play. Forest usually means elves, walls, or if it was snow-covered, Ponza. But I'm going to guess walls. That's usually the one that doesn't have a play on turn 1, since elves plays so many 1-drops. Most important thing about walls, kill their mana. Just going to cast that down right away. We want to stall them as long as possible. Another Overgrown Battlement. If we draw another removal spell for that, we'll cast it. Didn't get one, so sometimes I like to slam Stormbound Geist here so that we can start being aggressive. There's not really any world where we are aggressive enough with a Stormbound Geist to kill them in 10 turns where that's going to beat a Walls player. So I probably want to just put Augur down so that I can maybe get some interaction. Could do the Stormbound and then emerge it with the Wretched Griff, and that maybe I can be fast enough hitting them for 6 in the air return. I don't actually hate that. We're not going to be able to cast anything off of the Augur this turn anyway, unless it's like a preordain. So I guess I kind of convinced myself to go with this Stormbound into Wretched Griff line. Still possible I'll cast the Augur, try to get like a cast down and use that. Winding Way, let's see if they whiff. They did not. 3 creatures in hand, including another Battlement and a Crashing Drawbridge. Their hand is Leaf Caller, Drift of Phantasms, and 1 unknown. It's not a ton of action going on, but it's also getting scary. Could Goons next turn into Wretched Griff? I think that's probably what we want to do. So I think I want to Augur of Bolas. Question is, do we leave up black for a cast down or blue for counterspell? I'm going to leave up the double blue because we have more counterspells in the deck than we have cast downs. Find a Brainstorm. We just want to play a tap land here. Next turn, we get to Girder Goons into Wretched Griff. Hope we're not dead here, too. They definitely have to find some action, but Drift helps them find some action. It can find just a Lead the Stampede if need be. Roche Leaf Caller makes it so that they can turn their green mana from Overgrown Battlement into blue or any color they need. There's the Leaf Caller into the Phantasms. Freed from the Real. I mean, I guess we should have brainstormed in response to see if we find a Snuff Out. That was a mistake. So they can just activate it again in response. I mean, they have infinite mana now. Alright, we weren't going to find it anyway. They do have to have an outlet. We can put back Griff Goons, I suppose. And they have the Drift of Phantasms into Valakut Invoker. And we are dead. Unfortunate. They have infinite mana. Rochi turns green mana into red. They play this. They bolt us to death. We get not a lot here. Arms doesn't feel like it does enough. It doesn't kill. It kills the Orochi Leaf Caller, and if they're playing Yespera Sentinel, it'll kill that. But it doesn't kill the O3. It doesn't kill a lot of different things. Duress can take out a key Winding Way or Lead the Stampede, but the deck is mostly creatures. I still don't hate putting in a Duress. What do we want to take out? This doesn't block anything. They're not attacking us. Shambling Ghasts are never going to be able to attack past their walls. Lash of Malice and Echoing Decay don't really kill much, so Extract Confession. I guess we can make them sack something. They're on Valakut Invoker, so we could Blue Elemental Blast just to hold that up for the combo. It's just pretty bad because once they get there, they're already golden. Same with a Null. We can hold that up for the Freed from the Real, but they are probably playing the Soulbonder as well. If the Valakut Invoker's their only outlet, maybe a Blue Blast is fine. I guess Relic, maybe, because they play Reap the Graves. This can blow that out. We're going to go with that. Don't feel like we have a great sideboard here, but give it a shot. No lands. Obscura, Seat, Duress. It's not great. It's pretty bad, actually. Is it bad enough to get rid of? We can kill some creatures. We can Duress to try to take a Winding Way. I guess we'll keep it. Get rid of the Dying Evil. Do we want to keep the Mournwell? I kind of like trying to take their hand, but in that case, we kind of want to keep the Undying Evil. It's just so slow. Don't think that's where we're at. Finding a swamp off of this for the Duress also means we don't have Counterspell up turn 2. Maybe we should have mulliganed again, but going to 5 feels rough. Quarian Ranger. Didn't we just put that back? Oh, look, we shuffled in between. It's a one of, just the one Mournwelk. All right, let's see their hand. Yeah, this is why Duress is not great. Scattershot Archer, not even a defender. We're in a pretty bad spot. We're going to bounce it to play the Overgrown Battlement. Attack for 1, or not. Chicken out. There's an Augur. Can't kill this, otherwise we would. We can kill the Quarian Ranger, though, which gives, if this is their only land, it gives them 1, 2 mana. Yeah, I guess we got to kill the Quarian Ranger. And they just drew another one. A couple archers. We'll cast Augur. We will take the Lorien. They're going to play a Lead the Stampede. Draw a Drift of Phantasms, Bloodright Invoker, and a Mirror Shell Crab. The Pilgrim off the top. I guess we'll cycle this Lorien for an island. Hold up Counterspell. I do like about this deck, it has run some weird cards, like the one of Stormbound Geist, so when we play it, our opponent brings in these Scattershot Archers, assuming that we're going to have a bunch of flyers. Winding Way, pretty annoying. You think they're looking for lands? Because they have so many creatures already. I mean, I think we're going to counterspell. 2, 3, they have 3 mana. They can't. It's all green. Can't really do anything else. I would like to hold the Bojuka Bog in case they Reap the Graves, but they don't even have that in hand, so play it. Start goonsing them, I suppose. Which on untapped land next turn, we can Mournwelk. I think that might be the only way we win this, is by stripping 4 of their cards from their hand. There's the Shield Wall Sentinel. Grabbing an Axebane Guardian, which is going to give them access to their blue mana, which is the main thing they're pinched on. No untapped land. In fact, something that needs another untapped land. It's going to take them one more turn to get the Axebane online. And in the meantime, I can smack in for 4. Hopefully draw land. Not the best. I suppose it's possible keeping in like the Lash of Malice would have been good for Quirion Ranger, which I had admittedly forgotten about. I don't play against walls too often. No land, no removal spell. We're gonna brainstorm. See if we get a way to kill the Axebane. There we go. And a Preordain. Still think we need to Mournwalk them. Don't think we need this relic. Yeah, I don't think we need the Griff. Preordain. Put both to the bottom. No land. But we do have a cast down. Pass. Attacks seem pretty useless here. Cuts them off blue mana again. I mean, they're pretty well stalled out. Snuff out's good. I think they're not doing anything. So even though the Quirion Ranger was a problem, they're not doing enough that I think I just want to keep the Snuff out for the next source of blue mana that they have. So, could just hold up Counterspell, hope we get a land. Blitzing a Goons doesn't do much because we just get a 2-2 that can't attack through. So, I think we just hold until we can evoke Undying Evil the Mournwalk, and then probably just hardcast a Garter Goons, unless we draw another Undying, or draw 2 more mana to return to action. Shield Wall Sentinel. We're going to Counterspell that, because that represents another defender, more mana. It represents an Axebane Guardian forthcoming, which we don't want. Another Goons. We don't have a counterspell to hold up, so we're going to just cast it with the Blitz. Smacking for 4. This will add up a little bit, and it will hopefully find us a 5th land. All right, well, we did draw that land. Next turn, we can Mournwalk them. Lead the Stampede, okay. Caretaker, that finds them blue mana and a Secret Door. Only 2 hits, though. We might snuff out that Caretaker. It is, after all, our only way to make blue mana. I think taking out 4 of these cards is going to be pretty much exactly what we want to be doing. Then Undying Evil. Get in for 2 more cards. So we got Secret Door, Mirror Shell Crab, and 2 Drifts of Phantasms. Now I want to snuff out the Caretaker to cut off their blue and black. You know, they can't play a Bloodright Invoker and just start turning out 8 mana, drain 3. Well, they found a Leaf Caller, which is Swirly Caretaker Plus. Gets them as much colored mana as they need, which could be a problem. Transmute the Drift, freed from the real, cast it on Overgrown. That's infinite, and they have the Bloodright Invoker. So we're dead. That's a bummer. I mean, I guess we should have kept the Snuff out for a Leaf Caller. Caretaker felt like a good one to go for because they had no colored mana other than green. And it was shutting them off from being able to use anything like that, using the Mirror Shell Crab channel, anything like that. Maybe it was a little too hasty, knowing that an Roach Leaf Caller could just win the game. I hadn't necessarily done that math, so that's probably my bad. That said, it happens. We ended up going 3-2, which is, respectable with a brew like this, I think. The deck's really fun. So if you are interested, the link's going to be in the description. I have been working on an updated list of it, rounding out some edges and things like that. So if you have any suggestions for cards to cut or to add, please let me know. I have a couple more decks that I've been brewing as well. So plenty more stuff to be coming on the channel that I'm pretty excited about. So please stay tuned. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.